could easily be lost, because they were so brief. And I thought, well, I don't know, as I read this diary, I'm constantly being reminded of things in Victorian novels or Edwardian novels. Here's something that reminds you of George Eliot. Here's something that reminds you of Thomas Hardy, and so on in the 19th century. And you move into the Edwardian period, and there's something that reminds you of H.G. Wells and quack medicines and things like that. And then there's a wonderful description of moving house and the things you have to worry about when you move house. You have to worry about the curtains being made on time, or there are too many weeds in the garden, or too many trees, and they have to be dealt with. And above all, you have to worry about the drains. Oh my goodness, the drains. And I was reminded, some of you I'm sure have read The Diary of a Nobody by George Wheaton Goldsmith, yes? Have you? Anybody read that? 1895? Yeah. It first appeared, the chapters in that little book, one of the great comic books of Victorian England, the chapters in it first appeared in Punch magazine. It's a lovely book, it's well worth reading. But parts of Lizzie's diary are rather like the diary of Mr. Pooter in that book, as they were finally published. And so I thought, oh, I don't know, let's talk about this, and one mustn't be afraid of putting things into context. Now then, here is a diary entry from the 3rd of November, 1885. Now at this point, the young Humphreys had moved from Grove Lodge, which is the big house on the south side of Fitzwilliam Museum, where the director now lives. They'd moved from there, and they'd moved into a house at the end of Barton Road. I mean, I'll tell you this in case you know Cambridge. The end of Barton Road, right on the corner between Barton Road and Branchester Street. Quite a lovely big house. It isn't there now. Now, a mile or two distant, just off the Huntington Road, there lived Emma Darwin. And Emma Darwin was the elderly widow of Charles Darwin, the great evolutionist. And she came to live in Cambridge in the winter months after Charles Darwin died in 1882. And she was a lovely old soul, and she lived in this house on the far side of the Huntington Road. Now, if you know Cambridge, you know that if you walk from Branchester Street to the Huntington Road, it's quite a long way. Now, this is a diary entry from the 3rd of November, 1885, when the young Humphreys are living on the corner of Branchester Street. And this is what it says: pouring wet day. Stuart, he's the second eldest boy, Stuart kept from school. At 4:30, Granny and Edith called in the carriage, took Martin and me. Martin left at old Mrs. Darwin's to tea. We to call on Mrs. Brownlow and Mrs. Piskett. I then left at Mrs. H. Darwin's, that's Mrs. Horace Darwin, one of the Darwin daughters-in-law. I then left at Mrs. H. Darwin's, and at 6:30 called for Martin, old Mrs. Darwin's, and we walked home. Long way in the pouring rain. Alfred to meeting at 8 o'clock. Now, when I read that, I thought that's absolute gem, because old Mrs. Darwin, they always called her old Mrs. Darwin, and at this time, 1885, she was 77 years old, which is very old in Victorian terms. And I thought to myself, she gave this 8-year-old boy his tea, and then she had to entertain him until, that's 4 o'clock, she then had to entertain him until 6:30, so that's 2.5 hours. So what does an old lady of 77 do with a boy of 8 for 2.5 hours? Well, she gave him his tea, first of all. What would he have had? He'd had bread and butter first, that was obligatory. And then he might have had a rich plum cake. And then, well, he wouldn't have had pizzas, he would have had gingerbread. That's right, all little boys were given gingerbread in the reign of Queen Victoria. It was the equivalent of pizzas. If clergymen wanted to encourage little children to come to church next Sunday, they went round the countryside with a pocket full of gingerbread and frosty gingerbread. It comes, you read this in endless Victorian novels and memoirs, particularly the memoirs of clergymen. Never fails, gingerbread. So we'd have had gingerbread. Now, how did she entertain him? Well, Emma Darwin, I mean, she's so written out of history, it's incredible. She was a wonderful woman. Emma Darwin was a wonderful pianist. If you've been to Down House in Kent, where the Darwins live, there's a grand piano in the drawing room, isn't there? And Emma Darwin, who was born in 1808, had been, when she lived in London as a teenager, had been a pupil of Ignaz Moscheles. Now, if you've got real bits of paper, there's a picture there of Ignaz Moscheles with his dates. And at the same time as Ignaz Moscheles was teaching Emma, he was also teaching Mendelssohn, who was about the same age as Emma Darwin. A very famous piano teacher, very famous composer. So, all right, Emma Darwin knew all about the music of Moscheles, and we're told in a biography by Edna Healy, the wife of Dennis, we're told that Emma Darwin, when she entertained small children, used to play galloping tunes. So I asked myself, what sort of galloping tunes would Emma Darwin have played to Martin Humphrey on the 3rd of November 1885. Now, we've got young Rob here who's going to play a galloping tune by Moscheles, or part of one. It's from something called the Sonata Melancholique, which was inspired by Beethoven's Pathetique Sonata, which you'll know just in a minute. One thing I haven't done is my special friends from Poland are here tonight. Where are they? Yeah, there they are. Where's that? You've got to, yeah, go on, put the flag up. Sorry. Where's the flag? Hey, well, spread it out. Yeah, right, they've done that. So, anyway, Rob, are you going to play a bit of Moscheles and see if you can spot the galloping? This is Ignaz Moscheles, a long-forgotten piano sonata which gallops a bit. Thank you. I don't want to stop there because it stops galloping and goes into a canter. I don't think we want to do that. Just let me get this book again. No, I got it. I think. Can't see now. Old age. Yes. Thank you. Now then, I hope you do agree, it does gallop and the little boy might get excited. My only criticism of Rob as a pianist is that he's not very good at playing wrong notes. And we know for the fact that Mrs. Darwin had a bit of arthritis on her fingers and played lots of wrong notes either. Only plays the right ones.